Hello everyone, this is Planettrailerpark. You know the show? You know what goes on here. I am one of your hosts, Leatherface. Champagne, my co-host. He's not here right now. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what he's doing. It doesn't matter right now. We've got a cool dude filling in his shoes right now for this evening, for this episode. This is, introduce yourself, sir. Jump in, dive in, dive in.
Call me Dr. D.
Dr.
Just
D.
to disguise my identity, because I intend to get into some serious subjects here, and I don't wish to become a target of black helicopters.
AKA Dr. D.
Dr. D.
In the alphabet. All right. Well, in this evening, sir, what, you got some heavy subjects to go on last night? You got some heavy shit going down tonight?
A couple to go with.
That's cool. That's cool.
Let me start with this. The Second Amendment. I know that there are a lot of people in this country hurting as a result of shootings going on. I've heard a liberal college professor offer the saying that these mass shootings are the price of freedom. And I'd like to start with, there's a lot of debate about gun control, things of that going on. I want to talk about that for a second. The Second Amendment to the Constitution, there are those in this country, Hillary Clinton, who would like you to believe that the Second Amendment was designed to protect our hunting rights. But the Second Amendment to the Constitution is there because our forefathers had taken this country from a tyrannical government. And they were aware that with the freedoms provided to the people and to our government and the powers that our government would become to have, that it was possible our own government would become tyrannical. So the Second Amendment is there for we, the people, to defend ourselves, not only from outside risks, not only for hunting of food, but to defend ourselves against our own tyrannical government.
Not only that, but they gave us guns so we could blow the shit out of the Indians whose land we were taking. Because we ourselves were tyrants.
This is true. We also used biological warfare against those Indians.
We had to blow the shit out of the Native Americans.
Yes, we did.
That was a prevalent deal going down back then.
Now, I'm a little bit Cherokee myself, actually. But, you know, it's been said that all we need by several politicians is this. A bolt-action rifle. Now, I've brought down many deer with this. Shout out to Savage, by the way. Wonderful weapon. Thank you. I've brought down a lot of food with this. However, within our rights, we have these. Shout out to Ruger. Best assault rifle made on the market. And the reason for these, like I said, is not just for deer. And also I have to add, when deer hunting, that you encounter much more than just deer. You encounter hogs, feral hogs, which are dangerous. And if you found yourself in that position, they may see you as food. If so, this can keep you alive. Now, I've noticed, for another subject, that as far as I know, the government has stated that the Earth is tilted at 17 degrees. However, if you take a compass, I have a compass on the end of a survival shovel, which I've positioned in my yard. I use it to sight north with the tallest tree on the horizon. And I've watched the North Star. 10,000 years ago, people said the North Star was the one that never moved. Well, with a 17-degree tilt to the Earth, it moves like this. However, if you sight it with a compass and watch it, it moves like this now. Now, I know of a doctor who has received a letter from the CDC saying to start watching for tropical diseases here in southern Arkansas. A lot of people thought that was because the hurricanes blew mosquitoes to the north and that they carry those tropical diseases, and that's what to watch for. No, with the tilt of the Earth, I've been watching myself, which anyone can see. You can tell that the Earth is tilting further and further. What that does is moves the equator. As the equator comes north, the tropics come with it, and so do all the diseases. The Game and Fish Commission of Arkansas have said that we are going to start encountering boa constrictors and things of that nature. They only live in the tropics.
Well, maybe this is maybe what we're experiencing is a cycle, an Earth cycle that's too long for us to measure. I mean, we're going through a cycle. Maybe we will be where China is as far as positioning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, in the cosmic map. Maybe that's where we will be in a few years.
I am a student of history.
Why wouldn't we be doing that too? Why wouldn't we be doing that and that? In a slower, but maybe it's a slower thing, a slower game. I don't know. Seems like maybe something we would have noticed by now. Maybe they have, but you know.
Well, it could be a natural phenomenon. Definitely. The study of the ice cores, for instance, have shown that over millions of years, the Earth's temperature has followed a wave. We go from tropics all over the planet to an ice age and back to tropics again. It's a wave, which leads me to believe global warming, humans have nothing to do with causing global warming. All of the emissions we've put out throughout the history of the industrial age to now do not equal the carbon emissions let go by one volcano. And we have volcanoes all of the time. Now, another thing I've noticed is when I was a child, I almost never heard of an earthquake. But within the last decade, you can measure the number of earthquakes we've had, and it's extreme. Now, this could be a natural phenomenon, but it could also be secret government testing of weapons underground, which has caused the tilt of the Earth, which would result in the government denying it and blaming it on us to try to get more money out of us to fight global warming, since we caused it, according to them, which I disagree. I believe that it's completely natural. And looking back through time, it can be clearly seen that it is natural. But it does mean disaster. Now, 80% of the world population lives on the coast. Well, the coast, with the melting of the polar caps, is going to disappear. And when it does, all of those people are going to have to move inland. Now, those of us that live in the South, in the country, in the Midwest, in the corn growing fields, in the wheat growing fields,
in the high areas.
In the high areas as well. We're used to a lot of land, a lot of freedom, a lot of places to travel. You can walk miles and miles and never encounter another human being. Well, that will change. And in the event that changes, it's possible that we will be in a state of war on our own land.
Well, just to throw away the more mystical side of that, maybe throw it more to a political area in a way. what do you think that would do, say, to our country as far as strength, as far as other countries go? North Korea, Syria, Iran. If 35% of our land is taken by water, that's a lot of shit. That's military base. There's got to be a lot of important shit that's going to take. So, what would you foresee? What would you foresee? What scenario would you foresee if that happened? Because the way pundits and scientists are seeing it, a lot of the shit that's going to happen. A lot of shit's been happening in Japan and stuff, but a lot of this flooding and a lot of this other shit, a lot of the things, volcanoes, super volcanoes supposed to explode and all this shit, it's supposed to happen to us. If that scenario happened, okay, a super earthquake hits us, tsunami, brings our fucking water table up fucking a mile. What do you see happening?
Well, at that point, chaos breeds chaos. And all we can do is pray to God and protect ourselves. Now, like I said, this is our right, and it is for our protection. And our forefathers foresaw that we may need protection. This is something that a lot of the liberals believe that we need to get rid of. Now, if you take all the guns away from the people, you're only taking them away from the law-abiding people. You're not taking them from the criminals. For instance, if all guns were taken out of the hands of the civilians, all someone would have to do is approach a police officer and say, "Oh, my heart, officer, help me, help me." And when the officer approached him, he'd take out the officer with a brick. Then he has the officer's sidearm, one of these in the officer's trunk, the shotgun in the front of the officer's car, and the officer's keys and his car. And knowing that the civilian population is unarmed, look what happened in France, the unarmed civilian population. Look at what happened in England, the unarmed civilian population. Look at what happened all over the world. Look at what happened in Colorado in the theater, an unarmed population. Look at what happened in Florida in the nightclub, unarmed population.
Yeah, but the thing about that is that population, I think that group that is unarmed is going to be unarmed anyway. The people that were armed, the people that want to be armed in most of those states could be armed. They were armed. They are armed. Those people aren't going to be armed anyway. Just like if a scenario happened where fucking the shit went down and a flood fucking hits this place, takes Louisiana out. 3/4 of the people in that state aren't going to be prepared for it.
Correct.
And they're not, I mean, even if they survive.
And a rifle won't help them in that situation.
And even if they survived if there's no power and they're fucking having to hunt shit and shoot shit, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't see it.
Well,
I don't see most people surviving that.
That's going to push those people north, right into us. And, you know, I have wells on my property. I have deer, squirrels, rabbits, all of that on my property. And it will create competition for those resources, which would result in chaos within its own country.
Does our technology have such a strong foothold now, though? Say if it did take an area out, Louisiana, California, Washington, New York, Maine, Florida, all that shit. You don't think everything would go on just like going in the middle of it? McDonald's would still fucking be open. Walmart's still going to be open. Everything's still going to, I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't think it would. I don't know if it's going to bust into a lawless fucking zombie movie.
Technology is fragile. And for instance, should we go into a nuclear holocaust with other countries, like we seem to be under threat now? But I also have to say, Japanese airspace has already been violated by North Korea.
Yeah, but we knew it was going to happen. They knew it was going to happen. They let it happen. If we didn't want that to happen, we would have shot that the fuck down, over the fucking ocean.
Which is in support of Trump. Everyone thought he was a hothead and he would react with as many bombs as possible.
It's because he knows, just like everybody else, that North Korea doesn't mean it. They don't mean that. They don't mean that. It's wrestling. It's WWE. They are, that's what they are. They're WWEing the shit out of us. Because they think they're fucking crazy and they're fucking medieval in their ways, but they think that's the way they're trying to get shit out of us. Okay, that's what we're stuck in a deadlock with them. We're chasing our tail. Because they think the only way they can get shit from us is to fucking threaten us. Mm-hmm. They're a fucking dog without teeth. Really, they've got their little fucking bomb from the 1950s that they've made. Probably it's fucking the equivalent of Hiroshima bomb. They could probably throw that fucking thing. They could take out Guam or Japan maybe with it. Maybe okay, fucking South Korea. But I mean, as far as hitting us, they can't fucking hit us with anything.
Well, there are 10,000 Marines, United States Marines, stationed in South Korea.
Well, if they throw a bomb over there, they're probably fucking gone.
Yes, and the U.S. fleet that is stationed right off the coast right now of North Korea, they are in jeopardy as well. They could be wiped out completely with one bomb if the Aegis cruisers were not able to take it out.
Well, I think that's the advantage militarily maybe that North Korea would have, is they do have a lot of shit. It's old tore down Soviet era bullshit, but they have so much of it. The initial assault, I think, would be them blowing their load. And they kill a bunch of shit, our fancy shit, they blow up a bunch of our fancy shit, but then once that is settled, we don't send a man in. We're not sending Navy SEALs in. You know what we're sending in? Fucking B-1, we're sending in fucking bombers, we're sending in fucking stealth bombers. We're gonna be sending in fucking drones by the fucking army. We're gonna be sending in Apaches. I don't think it's not gonna be Iraq. I do not think if we fight them, it's going to look more like a war, albeit a miniature one. I don't think it's going to be like an Iraq door-to-door fucking little fucking Korean people holding up their kids with bombs strapped to them. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it will be more of a traditional war. That's why they're not going to win. That's the joke of it. That's the sad comedy for them, is there's no way they can win.
No.
They know, but that's also what they know. That's the dramedy of it. They know that. They know they're a joke. But they think that they have to do that to us. But we know that they're going to do that, so they're a barking dog, and every day we walk past that dog.
But the problem is that dog does have teeth.
It does. It does.
They're on a leash. They're on a leash.
And it can bite everybody around it.
But should they break loose from that leash, here's my solution. Send in the CIA, blow up one of their own weapons, make it look like an accident, and then we've taken them completely out of the picture.
You know what, though?
The other solution is to drop leaflets all over the country and tell the starving people that live under this insane dictator to bum rush the border guards, get out of the country, and then we use tac nukes, small nuclear arms.
You can't do that
on this crazy leader.
If you watch YouTube, though, every day Koreans send balloons and shit over.
Mm-hmm.
And again, watch YouTube again of videos of North Koreans.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand North Koreans, dude.
Mm-hmm.
They
violated every UN solution so far.
I mean, the people, even just the people, the little people, the fucking little guy that has an Armstrong card. Kim Jong-un and Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong, whatever the fuck the first one name was, Soon or whatever the fuck, they're not just leaders to them.
They're gods.
They're gods. So
read the book. Read the book 1984 by George Orwell, and you see what conditions they're living under.
These little pamphlets don't mean shit to them.
Understood.
When we get there, I don't know, maybe a million people, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Once if the shit did go down, they fucking, all the North Korean peasants will fucking start running to the south. No, we give up. He's crazy. We knew it all along.
Mhm.
Maybe, or maybe they're all going to start picking up their fucking pitchforks, and it's going to look like some weird where we're forced to slaughter fucking innocent civilians and blow the fuck out of everybody up and just look like a bad guy anyway. We know that.
In the 1950s, our people would fire machine guns across an open field until the barrels melted. The bodies would be 3 and 4 deep in the field. They won't give up, but that's the army, not the civilians.
Well, and they think of it like this. They think of it like we came in and we evaporated some of their cities, dude. A bunch of them fucking evaporated their shit. Fucking firebombed it, and fucking nuked everything. Just fucking melted everything. Not nuked, but just firebombed shit. So the North Koreans are thinking of us as these fucking assholes.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they're taught in school.
Right.
Dude, I've seen video on YouTube of their fucking like elementary schools where there's like fish and turtles and shit painted on walls of our schools. There's fucking like American soldiers with horns and shit.
Yes.
You know, like pulling teeth out of fucking women's mouths and killing babies and shit.
Like the Japanese were told in World War II. They were told we would eat their babies and torture them to death.
So it's in their DNA.
That is not the case.
This is indoctrinated into their DNA.
Mm-hmm. But the internet, some of them have access to the internet and they can see the news from the rest of the world. And they can see that they're being taught crap.
The only ones that can watch the fucking internet for the most part are the rich ones.
That's true.
And they don't want fucking, and I'm sure the rich ones don't want unification because then they won't be rich anymore.
Well, they're afraid to disseminate the information anyway because it's a crime. The only thing I see here, North Korea has violated the airspace of Japan, which we are allied with Japan. We have a treaty with them to protect them. And since they violated that airspace with missiles, we should, according to the treaty, have already gone in. And everyone thinks Trump is crazy.
No, and add with
but Trump has kept calm and has not attacked yet, and he's still working on diplomatic solutions. Well, but at the same time, we're preparing for war.
Well, and that's an American viewpoint too that we have,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a very naive, clouded viewpoint. But I side with you, and I'm gonna Trump anyway. Fuck these, fuck whatever, you know. Fuck, you gotta be strong. You have to be an asshole. How the fuck are you gonna be nice? And here's what a lot of you people out there, you know, you fucking candy asses that are fucking
liberals.
Well, they're just not realists. Trump may be being a dickhead with him. And you may want him to walk into fucking Pyongyang and sit down with this guy and have a picnic with him. But you need to remember something. There would be people 40 miles away in a death camp being slaughtered, Nazi style, and being assassinated.
Yes.
So, fuck you. Something has to be done about it. I mean, something. I'm not saying Rambo needs to go in there and blow it the fuck up. It may need to be political. Maybe Trump does need to fucking get on a goddamn plane and land in Pyongyang and talk to this little fucking asshole one-on-one.
Thus far, politics have failed.
Well, because we haven't really done anything. We haven't really talked to them a lot. We don't really talk to them.
We've let them get away with everything. The UN sanctions against them, they violate it all the time.
And you can use
the treaties we have with our allies. We've left our allies in a dangerous state.
They don't want us to.
No, they don't want us to. Now, of course, we're under threats from China and Russia.
Not really, though. Not really.
But I believe China and Russia are just as afraid of Pyongyang as everyone else. And if we did do something on a horrendous scale, China and Russia would say thank you.
I don't think we're
rather
going
than
to.
attack us.
I don't think we're going to. We can't. South Korea's too fucking close to it.
That's true. But all we have to do is catch a northeast wind and nuke them.
That's not going to happen, though. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. We can't. We can't. If we did that, we would be We'd be the total black sheep of the world. I mean, we can't.
We've done it before.
Yeah, I know, but that was a different time, and that was fucking.
It saved the lives of 1 million American 18-year-olds.
That's the
And
duality
I
of it.
agree with the president.
And that's the
at that
duality.
time.
That's the duality of this entire reality. That's the duality of there is no right and there is no wrong. Really, they did have to fucking blow Japan the fuck up. They had to, because Japan, the pit bulls that they were back then, they were just gonna keep. They would have hit California eventually. They already fucking hit Hawaii. But
Representation of Japan.
And if we would have tried to do it more humanely, and if our troops would have hit that shore, that's what they would have encountered, correct?
Yes.
And it would have been bloody, nasty.
Not just swords, but the idea of the sword.
Fear.
Death
Yes.
before dishonor.
So really, we did do
And
that.
that's what we were facing. And that is why
But I don't think we're
the
facing that
atomic
in Korea.
weapons were necessary.
I don't think we're facing that kind of strength, though, with North Korea. That kind of resolve. We're not.
Within the
it's
army, we are.
No, yeah, but that's fake. If you look at fucking, okay, you can fucking look at their army. Their army's fake, dude. Their army's even fake.
Well, most
They're
of them
fucking-
have World War II type weapons.
Not
You can
even
watch
that.
their parades and they're carrying Thompsons.
And the shit they're teaching them is fake. The
Yes.
shit they're teaching them fucking like off of Chuck Norris fucking movies, how to fight and shit. I mean,
Yes.
it will be a joke. But every metaphor here, they are literally the child, they're the crying child in the house that you cannot whip. You are in a bar and you are taller than this little guy that wants to whip your ass. And if you whip his ass and he won't, you are going to look bad, but he will not stop.
Correct.
So that's where we're at right now, is in that, we're stuck right there in that head spinning
It's a
conundrum.
paradox. It's a paradox.
Well, we can't,
It's a catch-22. Regardless
Military-
of what happens,
we cannot
there
use
will be
military
consequences.
force. We cannot use military force.
Why not?
Because we can't, because we won't, because they don't want us to.
I mean, if we do, who's going to do what to us?
Because to the rest of the world,
The rest of the world
no, the
knows.
John Wayne countries, all these other John Wayne countries that are actually smart, they're with us. I'm not saying that, but America cares what all the fucking countries say. They really do, in a way. So we don't want the other countries, even though we don't like them, to fucking be pissed at us. So if we fucking go and strong on these guys, it's gonna be like we pushed a handicapped kid down in their
Well,
minds.
after the Obama administration, now I have to give credit to Obama. He wanted peace.
Yeah,
he
but you
wanted
can't
to
have
make
that.
peace.
Yeah, but he fucked up a lot of shit. He
Yes,
fucked
he
up
did.
our relations with Russia.
He made us look weak.
I'm a strong proponent for having. I think we should have strong relations with Russia. And I know they do a bunch of cool shit, but so do we. We should have strong relations with them.
I agree.
Sorry.
If Russia and the U.S. united, we would rule the world.
Yeah, and I think China would come along after that.
China would come around, yes.
Even Korea is a twisted, broken
China,
glass.
China is
person.
interested in business and making money.
That's why
they
I-
understand who has the money.
That's why I think eventually, if this other countries fell in line, they would stop the baby killing and the fucking all this other crazy shit they do, because they would have to clean up. Like a drug dealer that wants to come into a fucking legitimate world, they would have to clean up.
Right.
Maybe not, but
Well,
I don't know.
it's been so long since the 40s. In the 40s, we struck fear into the world. And we progressed and advanced and made a lot of money in the post-World War II era.
But was it not so different because we were the major manufacturer? Of the
Right.
world? We were the major importer of the world.
Yes.
China was nothing yet. They were still a dirt clod fucking, everybody was still living in fucking shacks and wearing kimonos.
Mhm.
Because not one goddamn factory had been built there yet by us.
Right.
Nothing had been built there yet. Soviet Union, they were emerging as a power. Europe had already been brought to its knees.
Mhm.
Britain was still lingering around, but they were really just kind of,
They've
The little brother
been
of us.
mostly bombed
we
out
were
of
it back then.
existence.
Now we're not just it.
Well, that's one of Trump's ideas, is to bring the businesses home,
We're not,
to restore our manufacturing strength,
but we're,
rather than relying on the rest of the world to
Yes.
manufacture, and then we try to reap the profits. It can't be done that way because these other countries are becoming thugs.
Not only that,
and they're extorting us. One idea I've had is isolationism for 1 year. If we brought all of our troops home, all of our support for the rest of the world cut off for 1 year, the world would come to its knees begging for our return. They would be starving. They would have nothing. They would have been invaded by their enemies. They would come to the realization that the United States is the one true superpower who is interested in the benefit of all mankind, which I hope we still stand for. I love my country. I love my flag. I love the dirt I walk on. I love my countrymen. I love all those in uniform who are defending us. But I'm not sure I trust the people that are leading my country.
Here's where I think that's a dangerous game, to say, to be isolationist. I murdered that word. But we can't. We're holding back this flood. If we fucking gamble and go back home, there's not going to be anything to go back to out there. We're not going to be able to push this shit back and make it like it was in South Korea. Gone. Fucking anything Russia wants to fucking take, they don't give a shit. They're finally not going to have to look at us and smile. They fucking be taking shit over. Chechnya to be blown the fuck up. Georgia blown the fuck up. All these other countries, are then fuck even the South American countries. I don't know. We can't.
I just believe they would stop burning American flags at that point.
Iraq would be a fucking worse Wild West bloodbath than it is now. Afghanistan would be 4 times worse than it is now. Well, ISIS would fucking be running, they'd have a cartoon, they'd have a TV channel by the time we came back.
Well, right now in the world, the problem that our military is facing is we don't know who the enemy is. I mean, one day we have an interpreter that's working with us, and then that night, that interpreter has an AK and is sniping our men. One day we'll be giving out rations to this guy in the street, and that night he'll be firing at us from a window in a building. We don't know who the enemy is. Well, if we backed off for a little bit and let them coalesce, then we could see the enemy and destroy them. Now, after saying all of this, I would like to remind everyone out there, I am a Christian. I am a man of peace. I don't like nuclear weapons. But if anybody else in the world has a nuclear weapon, then I want the U.S. to have 3. If the world has 6 million nuclear weapons, I want the U.S. to have 9 million nuclear weapons. I do not wish to bow to another power simply based on the fact that they have superior firepower to us, which is why I thank Ruger, I thank Savage, and I thank Taurus. Best pistols I've ever had.
We still have the best technology militarily. We don't have the biggest military. The Soviet Union has bigger bombs than us. Anything we make, they make bigger bombs.
Yes.
But I think it's because we're not as dedicated as they are. I know that sounds weird, but we're not. We're dedicated in different paths. We're not going nuclear. They're more like a shotgun and we're more like a samurai sword in our thinking, I think, militarily.
Precise strikes, that's what we're after, yes. And it's because we don't wish to harm those who are not our actual enemies. We wish to save them.
And going on those guidelines is why we're not pulling out.
It's why we're so
lost. Being the good guy. That's why the good guy loses. Because we're trying to clutch a child against our bosom, the rest of the world that doesn't want us.
Correct.
Kind of. A lot of them do. But they don't want our fucking help.
Well, everyone strives to be the West, but at the same time, they hate the West. And it's because they're not getting all of the information. They don't understand that we're trying to help. They only see that we fly over and we drop bombs, and sometimes we hit the wrong targets, and hospitals are destroyed, schools are destroyed. But what they're not told is that there were anti-aircraft guns in the middle of that schoolyard. There were rockets stationed on the top of that hospital. It's just, there's no way to win fighting as we are. We need to draw the enemy out. And when we can get them in an open fight, we can eliminate them. And I'm not speaking for war. It sounds like I am. I'm simply a realist, and that is the way the world is now.
But if we drew away from South Korea, with them begging us to stay, which they are, what would happen in a year's time? What would happen in a month's time?
Well,
Pyongyang's going to march on those motherfuckers.
yes.
South Korea will blow them out of the fucking water because their military, thanks to us, is fucking 10 times more advanced.
Yes.
But it's still going to be a bloodbath.
It would be.
We can't do that. We can't have that on our shoulders. We can't pull out of Iraq. We can't pull out of Afghanistan with the world watching us on the news as a little Afghani child watches the last Marine fucking leave as the Taliban is on their fucking way in to make her fucking put on her fucking mask again and get raped by another family and fucking...
Who made us the world police?
We did.
Why?
Because there has to be one. And for some reason, the country we were born in, we just are.
We have the values to help.
Yes.
Well, I've provided one way to do it.
Because
even though it would be horrible at first, it would draw out the enemies.
Our country has to be that guy. All these other, all our allies are good people. France, Germany, Australia, all of them are good people, but they are not alpha male as far as the. No other country in the fucking world is going to do what we have, what we will.
Well, I'm a lower working class male. I work in a factory, and I've done it most of my life. And right about 39% of my money is going to the U.S. government. And all I see happening is politicians getting rich and the world getting in worse shape. And our soldiers are being put in the line of fire when they don't even know who's firing.
Is there, just inject something else even into it, what if ideologically, philosophically, psychologically, we don't have the capacity for peace? Because in essence, we're forgetting where we are. We've got all this stuff is on us, but what are we still? What are we?
Since Cain killed Abel,
but no, I mean, even
the world has been in this state.
Even before that, even to take that away, we're fucking monkeys. We're
monkeys
fucking violent.
Big sticks.
We're violent and we're stupid and we're selfish and we're greedy and we're competitive.
I agree with all of this.
So maybe that's our foil. That's just. I don't know if we're ever going to get over.
Oh, well, I mean, you're leaning towards socialism there, or communism. A perfect sharing of all resources amongst all the people, a redistribution of wealth. Like, for instance, this country, think of it as a monopoly game. Okay? In the beginning, everybody is equal, but eventually, one person owns it all.
But why are we still playing?
And at that point, the game is over.
But why are we still playing?
We are still playing.
Why are we still playing?
And you and I are just hoping to land on free parking.
But why are we playing games at all?
I don't know how politics became a game.
All you have to do is step back away from this planet and look at it. To know what we are. We're savage, carnivore idiots. We're never going to change, I don't think. You can put all this fucking shit on us. You can put white robes on us. You can fucking make us look like whatever. We're always going to be violent, visceral creatures. Step away from pull back from this planet you've never been here for, you're from another planet. What is the main driving force on this planet? The military. It's not agriculture. It's not book learning.
Well, it's about control of the agriculture.
Why?
It's about
It's
control of the water.
It's about
control of the gold,
control,
the diamonds, the land, the
monkeys,
people,
chimps fighting over fucking who's got the most fucking bananas.
Mm-hmm.
We're still, that's what we are.
Mm-hmm.
On a mega scale. We're smarter, but we're not.
I mean,
we're not smarter, we're more ingenuitive.
To illustrate one point you made there, and this is a point that, please don't take this the wrong way. But as long as there is an NAACP, then why should there not be a KKK? It's the same thing, just different sides.
I don't think there should be either of them then.
I agree, there needs to be neither. But as long as one exists, the other needs to exist, just for balance. I mean, I'm not talking about the KKK of old, where people were strung up in the streets. I'm talking about the current KKK. They've become a political arm, a political voice, speaking not to put other people down, but to raise their own people up. Just like the NAACP. They don't want to put other people down, like the theory of Malcolm X. They want to bring them up, like the theory of Martin Luther King. Except the theory of Martin Luther King Jr. was for all of us to be equal brothers. And the thoughts in the community now, it's just simply the only way to come up is to put someone else down. And that's not right. We need to join everyone together. It'll never happen because we're human. And we want, and we want. And the only way to get what we want is to take it. And that's the wrong attitude.
Because we're still a monkey jumping down on the beach and fucking cracking another monkey over the head, grabbing a coconut and jumping into a tree. That's what we are. Or we wouldn't be playing all these games. Again, why are we all bonded together right now, worried about earthquakes, or worried about asteroids, or worried about fucking meteorites busting past the planet, and fucking, again, all these other cosmic events, and all this other homegrown events. All these fucking earthquakes, all these tornadoes. We're not worried about a fucking goddamn bit of that shit.
Mass media controls what we're worried about.
We're never...
What we see on the news, what we see on YouTube, what we see in the newspapers, that's simply propaganda. It's just like the other countries are so tightly controlled with what they see and hear. It's the same here. It's the same in the United States. We can't trust the liberal media. Now, I guess by now everyone's guessed I'm conservative. I am a Republican, but I don't agree with a lot of what they say. Now, my shout out to Ronald Reagan, Star Wars program won the Cold War for us. And I am a Star Wars fan as well. But the Republicans have it right. Now, Bill Clinton, for instance. Bill Clinton was the best president of my lifetime. He reduced the deficit. He created jobs. He began peace in the Mideast. He made Saudi Arabia our greatest ally, which still is. He was the greatest president right up until the moment he lied under oath. And he violated everything I believed in. He violated his oath to the Constitution. He violated the office of president. Now, everybody already knew what he had done. There was no reason for him to lie. His wife knew. Everyone knew. If he had stood up in that room and said, I did it like this, I did it like that, I did it with a cigar bat. I would have cheered for him. I would have stood up and cheered for him. What were the Republicans going to do to him? Nothing. There was nothing they could do to him. He simply tried to be Slick Willie.
It was the dress.
And by doing that, he lost my respect. So you can say I'm quite opinionated about things. But I believe my opinions are right on the money. And if anyone wishes to argue with me, please do so. Respond to this program and argue with me. I invite it.
I don't think he did any better in the Middle East. And this isn't a knock on him, but I don't think he did any better than the Middle East or any of these other countries because you can't. You're not going to do good. Look at fucking Somalia. Look what the fuck happened there.
Yes.
If anything military would have happened in his during his administration, I don't know how strong of a military leader he would have been.
Well, there were military things that happened. He had ordered an airstrike. This can be disproven or proven or whatever in the Library of Congress, but he had ordered an airstrike. This is what I've heard and what I've come to believe. He ordered an airstrike on Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
And at the last minute, a Saudi prince landed at that airport, and he called off the airstrike. As a result, 9/11 occurred.
But just to take away from the military side, I think politically, from a standpoint of walking into somewhere and talking to them, he was head and shoulders above all these other guys. Okay, like hasn't he even walked into North Korea before and fucking talked them out of a fucking? He's walked into North Korea before and talked them out of a fucking, a prisoner.
Mm.
During his time, he didn't have to fight a whole lot. I don't think we did have a whole lot of major scuffles though, really, because
Bosnia.
he was better at hobnobbing with these countries though.
Mm.
I think. And I think
we
that's
went
kind
into
of
Bosnia and we defended genocide of Muslims against Christians. But
So
that had to be. The
what-
Christians were wrong.
is that how,
Genocide is wrong.
then is that how we should be dealing with North Korea? Is ignoring what's going on behind them and just acting like everything's peachy with them? Should Trump be walking into Pyongyang right now? Hey guys, let's be friends. We're going to start bringing you our industry. We're going to start bringing you our technology.
Trump should give me a parachute and let me take my rifle over Pyongyang, drop me out, and let me kill Kim Jong-un.
And here's the thing about Pyongyang, not even to defend the fucking North Koreans, but they were almost made this way by an abusive parent.
Yes.
The Soviets did a lot of dumb fucking shit around the fucking world.
For
And
a
this
long
is one
time.
of and this is one of their fucking fuck ups. Which they should be cleaning up. They should be cleaning this up. Because this is their goddamn fault.
Yes.
If they wouldn't have been fucking trying to take over the goddamn world like Pinky in the fucking brain, this wouldn't have happened. This is
Pinky and
their fallout. Yes, this is their fallout.
Yes. And we're having to deal with it.
And North Korea kind of don't know. They're stuck in the 40s still.
Well, Kim Jong-un was raised in a palace. His people are starving,
You know what? He was
fighting for life.
He went to high
And he
school.
was raised in luxury.
Yeah, but he went to school. He was educated in Sweden. He's been all over the fucking world. He's not a fucking he's not a dirt clod kicker like the rest of his people. He fucking knows better.
Yes.
He's just an evil little fat bastard.
Yes.
That's the comedy and weirdness of it, that what we're seeing is almost like a Nazi regime communist hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
He is Hitler for the new age.
Our Constitution
Really, I think they
allows
are.
for assassination.
Well, he would be Hitler, but he doesn't have the industrial ingenious behind the Nazis. He doesn't happen to have that.
And he's being held in place by the Russians, the Chinese, and by us. he can't expand, or he would.
Well, Hitler wouldn't be able to expand in this world either. That's why he is a weird. They are a weird throwback conundrum, I think, because they are this weird throwback. Like if Hitler tried his shit today, that he wouldn't have. I don't think he would have got as far as he did. Do you think he would have got to fucking Poland and Austria and got into fucking Moscow? Fuck no. They wouldn't have got out of fucking Germany before France was blowing them out of the fucking water.
But I have to give a great shout out to the Polish army. When those tanks and the Stukas rolled into Poland, Poland's cavalry with spears and horses attacked those tanks. Crazy, but full of valor.
But they're a throwback, and I don't. Yeah, I think again, they're. I don't know. It's just weird the way they are. It's like almost like they're a fucking '80s Schwarzenegger movie. It's weird in their communism. I mean, the primitiveness of it. I don't know. I don't know how we're going to deal with that.
The rest of the world is primitive compared to what we have here in this country.
Isn't that weird?
And if we could just, like I said,
how did we jump ahead?
Coalesce. Because our people are more together. Our people are more supportive of each other.
Well, it is and it isn't. I don't know. If you've ever gone to Europe, you go to Europe, you'll see, a lot of things. I don't know.
I see a lot of unarmed populations over there, which
that is different. That is different. It is different there. It is different in that regards. But is it affecting them negatively any more than it affects us negatively? Arkansas,
now,
you can go to Little Rock right now.
Great fear.
You can go to Little Rock, 40 miles from here, and there are more murders in that fucking city going on right now, this year, than any 4 major European cities.
And I have to say that most of that is being done by people with illegal weapons, not with legally registered weapons.
Not only that, but you also see something else. Those countries don't feel like they have to have an image upheld as much as we do, I think. For instance, if you go to Germany, the fucking cops are not sitting around with little pistols.
Oh no, they carry MP5s.
That's the first thing that shocked me when I went over there is regular cops sitting around with H&Ks loaded when they're fucking riot gear on. All the fucking time.
Yes.
Ready to fucking rock and roll.
Yes.
So, I don't think I don't know if a criminal walks around the streets of one of those countries with a bravado like one does here. I don't know. It's just a different mindset there.
Yes.
You're afraid of the fucking cops there.
Yes. Here, people don't seem to be afraid of the police. I mean, the minorities claim that's their biggest fear is the police. And there are good people and there are bad people that make up the police force. And it's the bad ones that give everyone a bad name. Our police are there to protect us, and I support the police 100%. But when they commit crimes, when they commit acts of racism, it brings us all down.
But none of this is going to stop.
I don't know how to stop it.
It's not a movie. Life's not a movie. You're never going to have a police force where there aren't bad people, because there's always bad people. You're never going to not have crooked doctors, dentists, fucking preachers that don't fucking rape little boys.
Correct.
Serial killers that fucking run daycares. You're never not going to have this shit.
I understand.
I don't know why. Because we're inherently bad. I don't know.
We're inherently both. We can choose.
I think if there's aliens, they came to this planet, saw that we're fucking retarded, and they bailed. And they've seen all they have to see, and actually, they don't give a shit anymore.
I think the aliens are us. I think the Earth has reached a pinnacle of civilization and then somehow blew itself to pieces. And the survivors were those that were underground. And when they came out, they didn't teach art, history, philosophy. They taught this is a stick. This is a rock.
Yes.
This is a vine.
Yes.
You tie the rock to the stick. You kill the rabbit.
Yes.
They were the cavemen, okay? And then they reached a pinnacle of society greater than ours and somehow blew themselves to pieces. And the survivors were underground. And they came out. And they didn't teach art, history, philosophy. They taught, here's a stick, here's a rock, here's a vine, wrap it up, kill a rabbit, eat dinner, and so on and so forth. And that's how we keep discovering all these pyramids that are deeper and deeper in the earth. The further we dig, the more we find.
Yes.
And that's my own personal theory, that people have lived here for a long time and even reached a greater society than we have, greater science, and were able to send people into space. And those people went to different planets, started different civilizations, and now they're coming back and saying, what the hell happened to Earth?
Yeah. So you think if a ship landed in fucking Washington right now, door opens, it's going to be one of us. It's going to look like us. It's not going to be...
It might not look like us.
Okay, even if it's a gray, that's a robot controlled by something that looks like us somewhere else. I mean, just...
Most likely anything that came here would be a machine, because space travel is so harmful to human bodies or any biological entity. And most likely we would encounter machines that were sent from there to here.
And even if there was no, I think if there was a more advanced species than us even,
they would know better than to come here.
Because there's nothing to gain from it.
Well, we're so violent.
That's what I mean. I don't, well, they could be violent by proxy, but they probably would have destroyed us by now. Okay, but here's another idea, maybe even. An advanced culture, if they had, okay, say if you take an alien race that is advanced psychologically, physically, everything, technologically to a certain level that we idealize as advanced, maybe we don't see these kind of entities because to explore within itself is a primal, competitive, greedy thought. To explore, to conquer, to find more, to take over. So one could say we don't see advanced races because they're not fucking looking around for us. They know we're here. They've already seen us. They're not looking. They're not trying to take anything over. I don't know. That's
we don't have anything valuable to them. But also, we might not even recognize alien life. We're carbon-based. What if an alien is silicon-based?
Intradimensional or something else?
Yes, we might not even see them. Or we might see a rock and say, okay, that's just a rock. But instead, it's an alien invader.
Or it could even be as simple as our eyes are suited to see things on a certain plane and they happen to live on us.
Right, and we would not be able to even see them.
Yet they are there. That's possible too. That's possible. All of these things are possible, or we're here alone on this fucking rock by ourselves.
Conceivable.
Gilligan fucking out in the middle of fucking nowhere, and there's nothing.
A lot of people take the Bible, for instance, the story of creation, and they believe that this is the only planet that ever had life. But the Bible and science, I don't see them at odds. I see science as the explanation of the power of the Bible. I think they've always been together. I think one is the explanation of the other. But if you look at the story, the creation story, at some point it is said that there are many houses or many mansions in my Father's house. Now, how does that translate? Does that mean you have a mansion and I have a mansion? What do we need mansions for? We're a spirit. Like the 72 virgins, for instance, that a Muslim man is promised if he dies in battle for Allah. What's he going to do with them? Do you take your penis to heaven?
But
I don't think so.
Here's another.
So that many mansions in my Father's house, that might mean there are many Earths. There are many planets out there that God created and started. And maybe at some point in the near future, we'll all gain peace on this planet. We'll learn to live together. And then, possibly, they will consider us worthy of contact.
Here's the only way we could be a perfect society is if you took out emotions and you took out sex.
Correct.
You can't have any of that. You'd have to take out everything that's human about us. We couldn't be human.
Sex and greed.
Because fucking breeds love, breeds jealousy, breeds wars.
Yes.
And then
The face that launched 1,000 ships.
So you basically, we can't be human. We can have a perfect society, but we couldn't be human.
Only if we're Vulcan.
Vulcans even fucked it up. Vulcans even fucked their shit up. I think, didn't they? Didn't they even fuck their shit up because they were too emotionless?
Right. They developed a war.
Yeah.
After it was so horrible that they relieved themselves of emotion because that was the cause.
That was the genesis
of the destruction.
Yep.
And that's the cause of our destruction. We realize that, this is fictional, but there's true science behind it.
There's no more fictional. Yeah, it's more fictional than anything else. To be another side of that argument, as far as the religion and everything. What if we are just here and there is no magical power behind it all? I mean, it's hard for me. I'm not religious. I'm not. But I'm not an atheist in the sense of I'm gung-ho and saying there's not anything.
You're agnostic.
I don't fucking know that.
You think there's something. No. You just don't know what there is.
I'm not going to say there's something either.
Okay.
It could all be mechanical. This all could be by chance.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like it would be hard to be religious nowadays, though, because how can you be strong about your religion when you look around and there's so many religions? And almost to me now, religious people seem like a primitive shaman shaking his stick in a village at this point, because you fucking know at this point anybody can play games. A few hundred years ago, there was not a fucking white hippie in a white fucking robe walking around in the Middle East preaching. There wasn't. It didn't happen. That's just my opinion, people. Fuck you if you don't like it, but whatever. But there wasn't. There was not a fucking, and this is my opinion, nobody else's. I don't think it happened. No.
Well, I'm Christian, and I'm your friend. I'm your good friend. I've been your good friend for years, and I respect you greatly, and I respect your opinions. I disagree with you on God. But if you were talking about the differences between the religions, well, the Muslims recognize Abraham. They recognize Isaac. They recognize Moses. There are similarities between our religions. The Jews, the Christians, and the Islamics all agree that Abraham was real, that Isaac was real, that
but then most of the Bible was taken from Sumatra Nanaki.
There are similarities.
And they believed in aliens, straight up.
Well, this is why I'm saying that I believe we've reached a pinnacle of society many times before. And some of the stories, like I said, the cavemen came out and, they didn't teach art, history, and religion. But some of the knowledge that they had was passed on. Some of it. And from there, more knowledge was added to it, more theories, and some of it kept going. Like the Greek gods, for instance. I don't believe that all of those Greeks just made those stories up and presented them to the world, preserved them as fiction. I believe that there was something to it.
There was a catalyst for this shit.
There was a catalyst. There was something real that started it. And I don't think it was Jesus. One of the commandments is, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Most people believe that means don't worship idols, don't worship money, don't covet what other people have. I think it's straight up what it says. Don't have any gods before me. I think there were other gods.
There's other strange things.
They would be evil gods, to my view. But there would be other gods. Why would he have said it otherwise? I don't believe it's symbolic. I believe it's straight up what he said. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, for I am a jealous God. That sounds to me like there are other gods. And this is what could be, what became the Greek gods, what became Allah, what became all these other gods that exist. I forgot the name of the book, but it's Indian.
Now.
Pardon?
Where are they now?
What are they now, or where?
Where are they? Where are you?
Where are they now?
Because then there's these fucking stories, they're all over the place. They're flying around fucking doing shit,
They
zapping
visited
shit,
us.
zapping villages, making locust storms, fucking splitting seas, fucking Buddhists floating around, fucking making magical shit happen,
Well,
fucking making dragons fly the fuck around.
God said that he was tired of giving us signs and symbols, that there would be no more signs and symbols, that we would live in faith, and faith alone, to prove our worthiness. So he vanished from this earth. He has no more direct contact with us. He doesn't appear in a burning bush anymore. We have our faith. We have our history. We have monks that gave their lives, that gave the lives of their families to protect those texts, to bring them to us. And there are enough similarities between the religions that they may all be originally from one.
But then one could argue, a skeptic, why, well, to a point, why, unlike any other animal, do we as humans, by and large, why do we have a drive to do the right thing? Why?
I believe that is of God. We have a desire to please. It's deep within us, a desire to please. And where did it come from originally? From the Garden of Eden, to please God. That's my belief. Now, everyone has within them the choice to become good or evil. But if there is no God, then what's to stop us from raping and robbing and pillaging?
Nothing.
There's nothing to stop us.
There's nothing. It's just like there's nothing to stop a fucking asteroid from hell flying out of the cosmos and blowing this fuck up and ending our history now and forever.
As I believe has happened before.
Sometimes I want to think religion is a psychological safety net.
Mm-hmm. I understand your theory there.
It's hard for, it would be hard
for us. It's a measure of control.
Well, yeah, it would be hard for us to fathom that there is nothing out there.
Mm-hmm.
There is no order.
If there's nothing out there, if there's no order, then what's our purpose? Why are we here? Why don't we just shoot ourselves?
We're not, but there is no purpose.
To escape the pain.
When we die, we're not any better than any dog, any cat, any tree, anything. We're just going to, we're going to turn into fucking oil. We're going to turn into sand. We're going to turn into soil.
Well, another something I've noticed.
That's a hard, for intelligent creatures like ourselves, that's a hard concept to think of. It's over. End.
Well, it may sound like a different subject, but it is actually tied in if you think about it.
Bring it on.
You look at an atom.
Yes.
Okay, a complicated atom with multiple neutrons and electrons and all of this. What does an atom look like? It looks like a solar system.
Yes.
I mean, it looks just like it. So what if our solar system, the one of the sun, what if it's simply an atom within a greater thing?
Well, that's totally possible. Or how do I know that the God of the Christian religion isn't in some other dimension somewhere waiting for us to unlock a fucking scientific key, and he's over there waiting to go, hey, you found this out. Come on in.
Well, it's my understanding that Stephen Hawking, correct me if I'm wrong, but Stephen Hawking, through his studies, determined that God did exist. He came up with a mathematical formula. I assume it would be question mark equals G. Like the Big Bang. There's no explanation for the Big Bang. There's only a question mark.
Yeah.
And Stephen Hawking determined that question mark equals G.
Yeah, but that equation carries no more weight than a scientist looking at a black hole and trying to say definitely what the fuck he thinks that is.
True.
That it's a concept so far removed that
I'm just cheerful that he gained faith through math. I mean, it's belief is a matter of faith. It's not a matter of proof.
it's a good thing to have.
But having faith is what, like you said earlier, makes us the world police.
But okay,
We want to make things right for everyone.
in 10 years, if an alien ship drops down with this motherfucker, opens up, these guys come out and say, we made you. We made all of you. You know, you're kind of a shitty experiment. We've been letting you go for a while, but there's going to be some changes.
That doesn't
What
dispel the Bible.
What does the strong, that's what I was going to say, what does the strong religious person do then?
Well, it's simple. God created them, just like He created us. I mean, it said in the story of creation that Adam was created and then he was placed in the garden. That means he was moved. We could have been created on a whole different planet or a whole different dimension.
Yes.
And then moved and placed here.
Well, then that would be in contrast to what the Bible says.
How so?
Isn't it? We're here. Weren't we born here? Is here? Eve was here? Adam and Eve was here? The first fucking people?
That they call, well, like I said, he was created and then he was placed.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that could have been movement through dimension or
Exactly.
time or space
Exactly.
or anything.
Not something the God probably would, if there was a God, would have explained to the man of that time.
Now, I mean, you think about it, God and Jesus both are not from Earth. So therefore, they are, to quote the Latin, extraterrestrial, other than Earth. So by definition, they are aliens.
So it's possible that maybe, I don't know, like the Sumatrans,
Mm-hmm.
considered the cradle civilization.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of their history is based on, they fucking straight up talk about fucking men coming down in ships and shit.
Mm-hmm.
They straight up talk about it.
The Hindus talk about cities battling each other in the sky and causing
Could
destruction below.
But what have they been witnessing been? Angels and demons fighting.
It could have been that, or it could have been, as I said, a pinnacle of civilization, and we blew ourselves all to hell.
And that's interesting too, because you look at the pyramids of Egypt, and everybody hears about those and thinks those are the only ones.
They're not.
There's identical pyramids all over the fucking world.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but I've been studying it, and it's fucking known anyway. A lot of the art that's on a lot of these things is
Similar.
identical. Like Incans, Egyptians, fucking Sumatrans.
In
Aztecs.
South America, there are a lot of stones that were brought to this one priest, doctor, who was helping all the people around, and as thanks, they brought him these stones. And the artwork on these stones showed humans and dinosaurs together.
I don't doubt that.
And I mean, we were always taught that dinosaurs were extinct long before humans roamed the earth, but they have recently discovered, or not recently discovered, but recently released that there is a human footprint in the same riverbank next to a dinosaur as if one was tracking the other.
Because that clashes with Darwinism. Because humans, according to Darwinism, couldn't have existed at that time because we were still so early in the evolutionary track back then. We would have been little teeny hamster-like creatures hiding in a fucking hole.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't have been a human. Because you can't get from the fucking thing that finally sheds its lungs and crawling onto the beach to whoop, a human. You get to a monkey, or you get to a fucking lizard, then you get to a hamster, then you get to a raccoon, then you get to a chimp.
Evolution takes leaps. Occasionally it takes leaps. Now,
well,
I wonder, with Darwinism, we came from monkeys.
Well, there's your argument right there.
Then why are there still monkeys?
Your argument of leaps, by proxy of us even existing, holds water. And I say that because if it didn't take leaps, we wouldn't fucking be here.
Correct.
Because what other fucking species is even touching us as far as anything? I mean, I don't know. What other species is doing it big like we are? They're not. They're carrying on with their instinctual lives just like they always have. Well, and that's how they would always be to the end of time.
Think about ants, though. Ants don't care that we exist. That they go on with their civilizations regardless of us. Aliens might come down to this earth and think ants are the dominant species of this planet.
Turtles. A lot of sea turtles live to be almost 200 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they more advanced than we are? They live longer than we are. They have more time. There's a lot of other animals that live longer than we do. Why aren't they more advanced than we are?
Every animal on this earth develops an equilibrium with its environment. Now, I'm reverting to the Matrix.
Well, this is our team.
Think of the Matrix.
Yeah.
What we are, according to what was said there, is a virus.
Yeah, well, I've said that a lot.
Doesn't belong here.
Well, it's because we take over and destroy.
Well, when we were shed from the garden over our sin, it was told to us that the world would be against us. The earth itself would be against us. The vines, the briars would cut us. We would toil in the soil all of our lives. This was all told in the Bible.
You know what they say now?
What?
The chimps are in the Stone Age.
They use tools.
They think chimps are in their Stone Age now.
They use tools. They're having to redefine what makes man because so many creatures are reaching the level of where we would have to call them a certain kind of man. We are Homo sapiens.
But is that still does that reflect on us at all? I don't know. I mean,
as in how far we advanced versus how far
or
we
if we're
advanced.
from here, if Darwinism's true, because if you even entertain the talk of they're in the Stone Age, then that relates them to us.
Mm-hmm. Yes. They're following us in a line that way. But that would indicate to me we didn't come from them.
Well, there's, not to even make it religious, but how the fuck did we come out of the goddamn woods with no hair? No hair where it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
No claws where it makes fucking sense.
Mm-hmm.
No, our teeth don't make any fucking sense. Our eyes are bad. Our ears are bad. Our noses are bad. Nothing evolved on us. If we were a product of evolution, we lost it all.
Right.
Our dicks are even inferior.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Our reproductive way we reproduce.
That's a personal opinion.
Well, I mean, we're supposed to have
Some
a
of us think differently from that.
Okay, scientists say we have a flawed reproductive system, even though there's billions of us on this planet. So not actually, I guess our technology is carrying that through, maybe to a point. But we're so weak. We're so weak in every way. We have no strength, really. We're not strong compared to a bear or a gorilla.
But what you're demonstrating here is that we don't belong here. We're not from here.
Other than, okay, why would evolution put all our baskets, all our card, everything in our basket right there? It wouldn't. We would fucking have at least more hair on our bodies.
Yes. White people typically came from the north, where it's so very cold. Darker people typically came from the south, where it was much hotter. And like you're saying, we should be furry all over. We should have hair growing everywhere like Sasquatch.
And we're the only animal that can step into a forest and everything changes. I mean, animals, quiet, birds fly away. I'm just saying, there's little things. Why?
They fear us.
Why? No other animal can do that. A gorilla could walk into the fucking woods right there, right now, and nothing would really care to a point.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to a man crashing through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
In the Bible,
always from God?
The Bible, we were given dominion over the animals.
Well, wouldn't that make them fucking walk up to us and fucking we pet them like the fucking ark and shit, like the Noah's Ark? How it was like.
Well, it would until enough of them saw us hack one to death and put it on an altar and burn it, and then they would develop a genetic fear of us.
Or we're seeded from fucking Mars and they know we're different.
That could be it as well.
Maybe not.
That could be it as well. That they're just getting into the technology of genetic memory. And yeah, they could be afraid of us because of what we've done to them in the past. Or it could be that we give off different electric impulses. And they sense that. They sense that we are the ultimate predator.
Or through so much time that we don't know and have forgotten. Again, we're the enemy behind the curtain. We've slaughtered so many species and everything. It's just through time, they're just inherent to fucking be wary of us.
Well, animals are neither good nor evil. They're just animals. They just follow instinct. We have the choice between good and evil. I've walked into a forest and touched wild animals.
Yes.
I've chosen a good path. Other people can walk into the forest and everything flees. Of course, I grew up in the woods.
That's true.
I had very few friends. I lived at the edge of civilization, and my playground where I grew up was 20,000 acres of potlatch timberland. That's where I grew up, in the creek bottoms. The animals were my friends. They were my companions, my daily companions. And so I have some unique abilities with animals. I've petted guard dogs before when I was jumping over fences I shouldn't have been jumping over.
If you want to bear with me here, Dr. D.
Go right ahead.
We've run out of time for this segment. We're going to continue this, though. This is going to be a two-parter. I know how you guys like cliffhangers and shit. If you don't, fuck you. But we're going to take a breather. Ingest everything you've heard.
A moral world breather.
Take it as gospel. Don't. Whatever, we don't give a fuck. We don't care what you're doing right now. But,
unless it's evil.
Well, if it's evil, yeah, don't do that. Don't be evil. Don't be evil. Don't be evil right now. And we'll get back at you guys. Thank you very much.
Dr. D saying good night.
Leatherface. Catch you later.
Do svidaniya. Arrivederci.
And Feliz Navidad, assholes.
Guten Nacht.
Good night.